years. Okay, but that's my filing system. Okay, so I have active and archived. And then my third section here is my away. So it's the 3 A's of organization: active, archived, and away. Active, archived, and away. The away is the tossing or the garbage can. What we're looking at here is a paper shredder. Okay, so every piece of information that comes to your office, whether it's a receipt or a piece of mail or whatever, goes in one of these 3 places. So it's either active, it needs to be paid, it needs to be dealt with today or in the near future. It is archived, like the loan to your vehicle or the deed to your house, or it could be a passport information or the registration for your concealed carry or whatever it is. There are things that you don't need every day, but it's nice to know where they are. Those are the archived ones. And then there's the junk, and the junk goes right into the garbage can or it gets shredded. I prefer to shred it because that has sometimes personal information on it, your address, your phone number, that kind of stuff. Who knows what it is, but we shred that. So active, archived, and away. Now this is in my office at all times. This is an entire year at a glance. And so for example, what is inside my active files? Well, right here, I have an envelope that has all of my warranties in it. And these are warranties for current cleaning products that we are using right now. So this would be steamers, it would be vacuums, mops, things like that that have moving parts or part numbers. Now I have a printer that is in our office, and in here is the instruction guide or the user's guide to that printer. And it also has a DVD in case something malfunctions and I have to reinstall the software for that. And so that's where this goes right here. Very easy to access, and it's right here in my office at all times. So at any time, if I need the information, boom, it's right here. Alrighty, that was super fun, and I'm super glad that you guys joined me for that. Okay, so we're going to go through and we're going to talk about some of the different items that we just covered right now in the preface there, if you will. And the first thing that I want to do is I want to stop and talk about personal protective equipment. Now, before we start any cleaning job whatsoever, we always start with personal protective equipment. And the reason being is we don't want to get any paper cuts or anything like that while we're decluttering, right? So the first thing that I have is I have an apron, and this is a bib apron. And you'll find notes below. I think if I do the carousel, hang on here. I'm still new to this. There we go. I've got this at the bottom. This is an apron, and it has an adjustable clip here at the top. And I like to put this on when I'm decluttering because it kind of alerts everybody in the family to the fact that I'm now decluttering and this is my work uniform, even if I'm at the house. So the rule of engagement is as long as I have the apron on, we don't want to interrupt me because I might not get uninterrupted time to do this project at another time. So anytime I step inside the clutter corner, I put on my personal protective equipment, and it lets the family know, as well as it kind of gets me in the mood, right? They say if you're in costume, you're in the mood. All right, so this is the apron, and I do want to highlight the fact that this is water resistant. So it's really great for regular cleaning as well as household projects. But I will share this with you. If you're doing paper shredding or something like that, you are going to get really dusty. And so I don't want that all over your clothes. It's one less thing to have to clean. When you're done, you take the apron off. It goes inside the washing machine. You just wash it and you're good to go. So I love the apron. I use it for all my special projects, but I use it especially for paper. All right, next project on our, and I see there at the bottom, I've got my gloves. These are nitrile gloves, and these come in a pack of 100. And there are, I don't know, you've got latex or nitrile gloves. I prefer the nitrile because they're just easier on my skin, and also they've got really good feel to them. And so I can sense when I'm using them, like if a counter or something is gritty, you can feel that with the nitrile gloves. The reason that I like to use them for paper clutter is because it prevents paper cuts. So if you're going through lots of paper or lots of boxes and you're shredding stuff and you're moving stuff around, you want to make sure that you've got the right gloves so that you are able to grasp, like, you know, a lot of times you lick your fingers to get some traction. The nitrile gives that to you. So you can just pick up papers at lightning speed where you're not licking your fingers trying to get some traction on that. So I want to stop for just a second. I want to thank you guys for joining me. I'm super excited. I see that we have a couple people that have jumped in to join us. So I'm going to bring Sally in. Sally, how are you today?
Good, how are you?
I'm very good. It's good to see you today. Do you have any questions about what we've talked about so far?
Uh, about any other product that you're selling that I see so far, you talk about the glove, the apron, and the milk crate earlier. Why is the difference of the milk crate and the normal box? Let's say if I have a normal paper box, can I use that to put the filing system?
Well, I'm glad that you asked that because that's the very next thing that I'm wanting to talk about. And I want to show you the milk crate because yes, you're correct. It's not any milk crate. Let me zoom here to the bottom and I will highlight the milk crate there. This milk crate, I like it for, I've got one right here. Hang on. It is right here. I'm going to bump you off screen for just a second so we can see what I've got here. This is a milk crate. It's about this big compared to my head, and it holds 4 gallons of milk, which is why it's called a milk crate. I don't know if you knew that or not. I used to work in a dairy when I was young. My dad owned a dairy, and we had the 4-gallon and the 6-gallon milk crates. But I've been a real fan of the milk crates ever since because of what they hold. Now, this one has a little ridge on the inside on both sides. And this is really important if you're going to get a milk crate. You got to get it with the little ridge on the inside, because what we're going to do is we're going to turn it sideways and then we're going to put hanging file folders in them. And the little ridges on the sides of the hanging file folders, and I've got one right here that I'll show you. This is the little ridge on the hanging file folder. It slides right inside that milk crate. So if I have my milk crate here and I'm going to slide this inside, you'll see how it just hangs in here. And you'll see how this didn't hang so nice. If it doesn't have the ridges, it's not going to hang so nice. So I'm glad that that goofed on us because you got to see what happens in real time, right? So if you are able to hang it, let me see if I can do this again. There we go. Okay, so now that we're hanging this, you can see how this pops up and you can see at a glance the tops of these envelopes. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a makeshift filing system. And I'm going to bring Sally back on because I bumped her off. And Sally, I wanted to let you know that one of the things that I've done as a business owner, because I've owned my own business for about 30 years, and over the last several years, we've gone paperless. And so one of the cool things about going paperless is all that I have is I literally have one box. And this is it. This is the one box that I have of papers in my office. And it's following this exact same system. Now, what's cool about this is right on the front of these envelopes, you'll see that I have written whatever the things are. So like I have American Express and I have my annual reports and I have my information from my bankers. I've got the utility bills and I have all the stuff that I need as a business owner, and they're filed inside these great big envelopes. So these are our 9 by 12 envelopes. And I've just added this to the bottom of the screen so you can see what I'm talking about. I recommend that they be at least 9 by 12 because if they're 9 by 12, you can fit regular 8.5 by 11 papers inside. And so then what happens is they hang inside the filing system and you can see them at a glance. Like here's the makeshift one we just did. You can file them in alphabetical order and then you can just flip through them really quickly. So as you have new bills come in, and this is where it gets really exciting because lots of people don't have a program for the bills that come in. They're like, oh yeah, I got an American Express bill and I got a utility bill, and they all just go in a stack on the cupboard, right? This gives you an opportunity to take them and to file them as they go so that when you go to do your weekly accounting at the end of the week, you have everything already organized. Or you can put it in a stack right next to the paper and you know that these are the ones we haven't done yet. So then you go ahead and you add those to the computer or you reconcile them with your QuickBooks or what have you. And then you go ahead and you file them and then you're good to go. So at the end of the year, pretty much everything is already reconciled. Everything's already done and there are no piles anywhere. Is that not cool?
Yeah. Yes, I love the idea with the envelope and all that. Yeah, I definitely gonna try that. They make it so much organized and cleaner, easier to look at. Thank you.
How are you organizing all your papers right now?
Now I just put the receipt. Normally I just throw in the box, and then the file I just put in the drawer. And at the end of the year, like December, I will sit down and sort it out. So it kind of wastes a lot of time. So I like your idea with the envelope. Everything like kind of already categorized in the envelope and nicely. Just take it out and just give to the tax guy. So it's so much easier. Yes.
Well, and that's a really important thing that I want to bring up. And I want to say hi to Joanne and Niels for joining us today. It's awesome to have you with us. One of the things that we have is a 3-ring binder, and I don't have a 3-ring binder inside my portfolio here today, but any 3-ring binder will do. But this has all of the tax information for the entire year. So in addition to the regular box that we're putting together, the 3-ring binder has just your tax information. And Sally, you just mentioned when you go to the accountant at the end of the year, the information that you have. It is literally as easy. And we take this one binder, we can also put it inside our file. This box then just goes right to the accountant, and everything that they need is right there. Now, I want to stop for just a second and say at the end of the year, after the taxes have come back from the accountant, if you have an accountant, if you're doing QuickBooks, everything's already simple. You've already rectified it and reconciled it as you went during the year. It's pretty much TurboTax, and boom, you're ready to go. So it's a really great system as far as getting stuff up off the counter and filing it as you go. I do want to highlight the fact, and I got all kind of weird stuff here, so thanks for bearing with me. But what I do have here with me is I have a great big banker's box. And this is a regular banker's box, and it just folds up so that you can store them flat. Where's my camera? You can store them flat if you're storing them. And if you are using them, it's very easy to either stack them on top of each other or to put them on a shelf. Now, one of the things that I do, like that you saw in the short video, is I will write the year of the taxes. And so at a glance, at the end of the year, literally all of the things that are in here, they're already alphabetized. So I just pull out all the envelopes and I lay them inside the banker's box. I take out the 3-ring binder because that's the taxes themselves. And that goes inside the banker's box with the lid on it, and it goes archived on a shelf. Now, as a business owner, we get to keep our tax records anywhere from 7 to 10 years. I think 7 is the rule. I keep mine for 10 years just to be safe. And then if at any time during the course of the year, I have to go back and I've got to look for warranties, or if I have like a vehicle that I need service records or something for whatever reason, or if we decide to sell a company vehicle that we have, I can say, oh yeah, we bought that car in 2018 or what have you. And then I can go back to the year 2018. I go right down to the type of car. So if it's like a Ford Fusion, then it's going to be under F for Ford Fusion. If it's a Honda, it's going to be under H for Honda. So there's a really simple alphabetical filing system, which helps you find stuff instantly. There you've got all of the records, like all of the service records for that vehicle. So if you go to sell the car, instead of looking through the glove compartment and hoping that you can find this stuff, boom, you've got it right there ready to go, right? So keep the banker's boxes. And let me see if I can find, we showed you the hanging file folders and then the banker's boxes. So that's what we're looking at right now. But get a couple of banker's boxes, and then when you shred the papers at the end of the year, I literally turn the box around and I write a new year on the other side. So I'm not kidding, but I've kept some of my banker's boxes for like 20 years, where I keep it on file for 10 years on a shelf in a climate controlled closet. Then when I shred the taxes from that year, I simply recycle everything and I use it again. Now, I talked about recycling, and I'll go back to the 9 by 10 or 9 by 12 envelopes. One of the cool things about this is you have an envelope and it's pretty good. And if you're only using it as a filing holder, it's still pretty good. So if you write, let's say, American Express, I'm just using that as a credit card. You write American Express at the top and then the year. So the year might be 2022. So then after I filed it and it's been there for, 10 years or 7 years, you can just cross out the 2022 and you can write 2029. And so you're using the same envelope, but now you're just getting more use out of it. Then another way to recycle it is you can turn the envelope over and you can write on this flap, which is the new year. I know, I'm trying to get the most out of my investments, right? But it's a great way to keep the filing and to store your stuff. I see that we have Rita has joined us. So Sally, do you have any more questions before I thank you for joining us? And we're going to let Rita in here.
Yeah, no, I just really like the envelope idea. I definitely gonna use that. Thank you very much, Angela.
Sure. Well, let me know, keep me posted because I'm super eager to hear how this works out for you and what your changes are that you make from some of the stuff that we talked about today. Rita, how are you today?
Hi, I'm good, Angela. How are you?
Good. It's good to see you. So, are you like a pro at organizing paper and stuff, or are you just kind of getting started?
I'm kind of getting started. I'm definitely guilty of holding on to like small papers a lot, like little receipts here and there, coupons, like paper coupons and business cards. Like they're just kind of strewn about my car, my bedroom. I have some in my bathroom drawer. So that's kind of my biggest problem right now.
I love the fact that you are aware of what you have because when you are aware, then you have choices. Now, one of the things that you mentioned is you save receipts. Do you have a program for saving receipts or are you looking for one?
So currently I actually have an app on my phone where you take a picture of the receipt and it'll like track the total amount you purchased and the items you purchased. So usually when it comes to like groceries receipts, gas receipts, I'll put them into the app and then throw them away. But when it comes to like physical items I buy, like Target or clothing, I'll hold on to those in case I want to make a return, but I don't really have anywhere specific I keep them, so they're just kind of like floating around randomly.
Oh, okay. So I love, 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 love your idea of having it inside an app and having it electronic. So that is in the end where we want to go. Now, there is another generation, and I'm going to say that many people are still saving receipts. So for the people that are still saving receipts, or if you're buying clothes and you want to save the receipts, I do have a coupon book that I recommend us using. I'm looking for that here in our carousel, and I don't know if I added it. But I'll show it to you. This is what it looks like. It is a little binder and it has an elastic tab on it with a little button on the front. When you open it up, it's like an accordion file that holds a whole bunch of receipts. The thing that I like best about this is it slides right between my car seat and the console. So every time I go inside a store, if I go into a store and I'm coming out with a receipt, this goes right in that little area and it just lives there. And so if I'm like getting gas, and I know that one of the things that we do for our business is we save receipts from gas purchases because those are then going to go in the filing system for that car, just so that at the end of the year, if for any reason we're audited and whatever, we've got everything right there. What I do is I take the receipt from the gas purchase and I circle the price, like what credit card did I use to pay for the gas. I also circle the date, and then I also circle the car that I'm in. So it doesn't matter which company car I'm driving, but then I know exactly what the receipt was for. Now, every car has one of these pouches and they come in all different colors and stuff. And they're all, they're all cool and whatever, but it makes it really easy to know that this is one car, this is another car. And then on Sunday, when I do my reconciling of my paperwork, I just bring them in from outside. I bring in all the receipts. And just like we said, how we have a stack of stuff that then goes inside our convertible filing kit, we just file everything at that point. And so like, what you said, Rita, where you already have scanned it. If we haven't already scanned it, that's a great time to scan it so that you do have an electronic file. Or if you're like going through QuickBooks, for example, and I keep mentioning QuickBooks because we use that a lot in our business. But one of the things that's super helpful is once that has cleared the system, like that already came through the bank account and whatever, then all we're doing is we're just filing the receipt. I don't kind of never need to look at it again. If I do, I have it on file and we'll save that for 7 years. But their electronic system is beautiful. That also works. So as far as electronic systems, though, if you are going to save it instead of just having it on an app that could go out of business one day, what I want to do is I want to keep a hard copy of that, like take a picture of it and then save the picture. Okay. So we can save all the receipts in a little file folder called receipts. Now you might have one of these, Rita. I don't know if you do or not, but I have, and this is one of our solutions for removing clutter. I'm really big on these terabyte drives. There are 2 and 5 terabyte drives. And I just put different labels on them based on what it is that's happening in my life. And I have, what's really cool, I have a whole entire shoebox, a plastic shoebox of these terabyte drives. Now, the reason for this is, and I'll just put this right here so that I can remind myself, and if you go to Pinterest, they've got these beautiful boxes that are like decorative and they look nice and whatever. I can never tell what's in them. I'm not that smart. I can't look at boxes from a long time ago and go, I can't remember what's in there. I just can't. And so if it's a clear plastic box, and I'm really big on functionality because I like to save time and energy and I like to be organized. And so having a clear plastic shoebox, it's not as cute as the Pinterest designer box, but it's really functional. And I can tell at a glance. We do this in all of our closets. We do it in our business closet. We do it in our home office. We do it in our bonus room. We do it in all the different rooms of our house with clear plastic bins, because that way at a glance we can see them. Now, it's not as glamorous as going to a Pinterest looking closet where everything is color coded and it's beautiful and all that stuff. But my experience in all of the homes that I've worked in over the years, and as a professional house cleaner for 25 years, I've been in a lot of homes. One of the things that I've noticed is that most people don't bring guests into their bedroom closet to look around. And so usually the only person that gets the benefit of the beautiful closet is the person that owns the closet. And if that's your thing and that makes you feel fantastic, I say go for it. But for most people, functionality is the key. So if you have a bunch of really cool stuff that's like, oh, don't touch it, it's so beautiful, it's not going to be useful to you because you're not going to use it. And within a matter of a couple of weeks, and I see this over and over and over again, where people just unravel stuff from their closets and they don't put it back because once it's in those pretty boxes, they can't see what's inside. So clear, 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 clear. Now I have linked to some clear boxes. I think I've got some in my carousel. And I am learning how this carousel thing works. Ta-da! There it is. So they're small boxes, but they're anywhere from 2 to 19 quarts. And for the 19 quarts, that's where we have our larger things for our clothes. But talking about paper and storage filing systems like the one that I have here, this is perfectly useful. And it does have a lid on it. And so if you have multiples of these, you can stack this. But in this one box right here that I'm holding, Rita, this is going to blow your mind. But in this one box, I've got 10 years worth of business information on here. I have 1,300 YouTube shows. I have 1,300 podcasts. I have gobs of raw footage, which is like B-roll footage. I have hundreds of book reports. I have over 1 million photos. I mean, I've got a lot of stuff in this one box. Imagine what your life might look like if you were to get all of the paper clutter that's in your life and organize it either on hard disks or inside a small compact area, that in the event, I hope this never happens, but in the event that there's an emergency, let's say your house is on fire and you have to run, what would you take with you? And that question comes up a lot because there have been people that have been victims of hurricanes and flooding and things like that, especially in California. They have fires. That's a real situation, right? And so what do you grab if you have to run on the spur of the moment? And so for me, I would grab my shoebox and go get in my car and I would drive away, right? If they're doing a mad evacuation, that's where I'm headed with that. I've been talking too long. Let me stop and bring you back in, Rita. What is going on in your world that would make you want to, I don't know, either consolidate what you have or get rid of some of this stuff?
Honestly, right now, I think it's just the clutter itself. I don't like seeing it. I think I especially notice it when I do have something I want to return and I pull out that dress and I'm like, I need to return this. And then I'm scrambling to find the receipt because I don't know what drawer I stuffed it in, or if it's under my bed, or my cat played with it and knocked it off the table. Like, I think that's the most prominent moments where I'm like, I need to find some way to organize this so I'm not scrambling every time I need a piece of paper. So,
well, I'm glad that you brought that up because it sounds like you're really organized and that you have a really good system in place so far. Sally's back. Let's bring Sally back. Sally, do you have, hi again, do you have a system right now for filing your papers and your, I'm going to say paper organization? Do you have a paper organization program?
No, I have a drawer, a desk. So I just put everything in the desk. And when it comes to receipt, I just put in the box. I started to use apps to start to take picture, but because I start from old school, I guess, so I still kind of learning and then about the taking picture to keep in the phone, put in the apps. So I'm still learning that, but I have a box of receipt. At end of year, I had to sort it out, and then the rest is in the drawer, and still I had to sort it out. So that's why I say I love your envelope system, because like that I can category everything in whatever category they're supposed to be. So it's all already in the stack. So I love that really.
So I have a true confession, and this is at the end of every year when I file my taxes, and this is kind of like the next step. We have to deal with the stuff that we've saved. And if I have 10 boxes of taxes that I've saved, I've got 10 boxes that I'm storing, right? So I don't want 11 boxes. And so at the end of every year, I've got to let one box go. And so my system for that is shredding. And I've got a couple of shredders that I've picked out here. And I want to highlight the beauty of having a paper shredder. And so this is a paper shred. Nope, that is a Seagate hard drive. This is a paper shredder. Yes. Okay, cool. There are different paper shredders. I've got one that's less expensive and one that's more expensive. And I actually have two of them myself, because it doesn't really matter what kind of paper shredder you have if you're doing a lot of paper shredding. And I am a business. And so as a business owner, I do a lot of paper shredding. And so I have two. One I got early on that had like 10, it would let 10 sheets go through. And the other one is a bigger one that will let 16 sheets go through. And so one of the cool things about this is you can, like, if you have stapled pages, like let's say you have a stapled utility bill or a phone bill, or it's your internet bill or whatever, and it's stapled, it can go right through the shredder with the staples in it, which is super cool. And a lot of the new, and I think both of these that I've listed here, the new shredders will allow you to like put CDs in there. So if you have CDs that you're transferring, let's say that once upon a time, I know this is true for me. I don't know about you guys, but once upon a time, I saved all my photos onto CDs. And then as I started consolidating and moving everything over to hard drives, now I had these CDs with photos on them, right? I don't want to put those out into the universe because who knows where they'll go. But then you can just shred those along with like old or used credit cards that you're no longer using or have expired or whatever. You just don't want those lying around, because a lot of times the credit card companies are still linked. They've just sent you a new one with a new updated expiration date, but it's the same number. You don't want the old credit card floating around where it could get in the wrong hands, right? So these paper shredders are awesome for the fact that they've got cross-cut cutting, and it will let you shred the credit cards or CDs or stuff like that. So it gives you an opportunity. I have to ask, Sally, do you have any old CDs?
Yes, I do.
You do?
I did take photo in the CD. I did create some video. I save on the CD still. Yeah.
So we're twins. Hey, Rita, how about you? Do you have old CDs, or is that before your time?
Actually, when I was a kid, I used to burn all my music onto CDs, and we definitely have like those little, they look like photo albums, but they hold CDs, and you can just flip through all the CDs. We have several of those, I think, in my house. So, but I haven't touched them in years.
And that's the thing I want us to start thinking about. I don't want you to get rid of all your stuff, and I don't want you to become minimalist, but I want us to start thinking in terms of the future. And the reason I say the future is this: there's this magic window, and I don't know what it is. It's somewhere between like 40 to 50 years old, when your kids are old enough that you're not micromanaging your younger children, and yet your parents aren't old enough that you're doing that 24/7 care for your parents yet. There's kind of like this magic window. And it gives you a chance to kind of take a look at your life and say, hey, what are the organization systems that I need to get my stuff in order? And that's the time it's easy to start getting rid of some of the excess stuff that you have. I know one of the biggest challenges for paper clutter is lots of parents will save like boxes of their kids' homework assignments when their kids were young. And so the kids come home, they're like, hey, mommy, look at this picture that I drew. And the mother's like, oh, that's so cute. And so they take it and they save it in a box. Sally, you're smiling. Does this?
Yeah, I used to do that. Recently, I try to clear out all those things, yes.
But what happens when you hang on to those? Now, I want to stop for a second, because as a professional house cleaner, we've helped lots and lots of families declutter over the years. One of the things that I noticed was there was a woman, and I hate this because I'm guilty of helping her and enabling her system, because we talked for a few minutes ago about the clear plastic bins. So for her, and let me just jump over here to Amazon and see if I can can I share my screen? Let me see if I can do that. You know what? I'm not going to try to do that. I'm not very tech savvy and I haven't practiced switching screens. If I try to switch screens, I'm probably going to delete you guys. So I'll do that on my next video. But plastic bins, they're great big plastic bins that you could store the equivalent of my portable filing system in. But what happened for this particular woman is we went through all of her boxes because she had like those banana boxes that were like made of cardboard. And we went through and we took out all of the paper and we put them inside these plastic bins that were stackable, that would stack in her attic, that then wouldn't get warped with humidity and stuff because the attic was hot during the summertime. And then what happened was a few years later, you know, we're having a regrouping conversation. We're like, hey, you've got all these boxes in your attic. You know, what is your game plan for those? And she had saved one box for every year that her child was growing up. And then the interesting thing was, now her kids were in their 40s and she had 5 children. So she had one box for every child for every year times 5 boxes. So like 41 boxes for one kid, 40 boxes for the other kid, 38 boxes for another kid. You get where I'm headed with this? Her whole attic was very organized. Nice clear plastic bins. They were all labeled. It was awesome, but gobs and gobs of stuff. What are you going to do with that? Like I said, there's a magic window. Because then what happens if you get to be elderly and you don't deal with that stuff? Who gets to deal with it then? You know what I'm saying? So we want to have a conversation with ourselves and we want to talk about, is it time to get rid of some of that stuff? So going back to the hard drives, if we go back to the hard drives, let me go back to my hard drive here. This one is actually a 5 terabyte. We've got a 2 terabyte and a 5 terabyte. That holds a lot of homework. And so one of the things that I would recommend, if we haven't done it already, is invest in a scanner. I know that the scanners seem like really old fashioned because now everybody's just taking pictures with their phones, right? Like, oh, I'll just take a picture of that. And then it goes electronically, boom, you're done. But if you have old homework and stuff like that, that it would be easier to scan. And then you have the original format of that. An inexpensive scanner is going to be somewhere between 60 to $100. And you can hook that right up to a computer. It's like plug and play. And then when you're sitting there watching TV at night, you can have your scanner right in front of you on a small card table. And you can just be scanning all of the homework assignments from your kids. When you're done, you can drag that file over onto a hard drive. And then you can let go of all of the paper. And my suggestion is ask your child first. Like this woman had 5 kids. So we said, let's ask your kids, do they want these boxes? So we called one of our sons and he said, 41 boxes of my homework when I was a kid? No, I don't want them. He said, I have boxes of my own from my own kids that I'm storing. I don't want 41 more. Now he learned from his mother and he was doing the exact same behavior with his kids where he was saving the boxes because that's what his mom did. You see where I'm headed with this? We have a tendency to repeat the cycles we were a part of. And so he was storing boxes for his kids, but he certainly didn't want the boxes back. So we went through, it was painful for her, but we went through box by box by box. And we're like, hey, do you want to save this picture? Do you want to scan this picture? And she's like, no, I think I'd be okay scanning one picture from each of the years, which reduces the workload down to saving like 40 pictures, right? She did take a few snapshots of a few of the pictures that brought her joy. And then the rest of them we shredded. We literally shredded them and got rid of them. That's where the paper shredder comes in. You can do high volume shredding, just boom, 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 boom. And with the protective gloves, you can just pick up all the pages and just quick grasp, shred, 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 and you're done. Now I want to talk about one more thing. I'm a really big fan of the 13-gallon garbage bags. And these have the drawstring at the top. And the reason that I like this is because you can stuff them really full and they like bulge out on the sides, but stuff doesn't fall out. And then you can tie it at the top so that none of the paper shreddings get out. But this 13-gallon size, and this works for most of the paper shredders. And so for most of the paper shredders, you just pull the paper shredder drawer out and you put this over the top, you dump it upside down, and that allows you then to just empty the paper shredder. Now, what I find is I can fit 2 paper shredders inside one bag. Now, once it's half full, I can't do it again where I dump it upside down. So what I have to do is get another garbage bag and I get the empty one and then I dump the one garbage bag into the other one. You know what I'm talking about? So that you fill it full and then you tighten it and then that goes out with the trash. So it gives us an opportunity to have the right tools. But right now, most of us are paying for garbage pickup, and they will pick up those great big bags of shredded, cross-shredded shreddings. And that way they'll take those away so that we don't have loose documents. Because if you're like me and you run a business, you don't want your accounts that have your name and your address and your account numbers and all of those things on those documents. You don't want those just in a landfill. Anyone can pick those up and they can piece together the elements of your life and they can steal your identity. Okay. It may not be as common that way. It's probably more common that it's going to be an electronic stealing of your identity. You just want to shred all that stuff. Get rid of all the business documents that you're no longer using that are still connected to active accounts. Does that make sense? Any questions so far?
One more question. So I also have a tendency to hold on to notebooks a lot. Like I'll collect cute notebooks and then I'll use them to journal or to take notes for work or to take notes around the house. If I come up with like random ideas or a shopping list, I'll put all this stuff in like all my different notebooks, and I don't really know the best way to like store those or keep track of those and those notes.
I love that question. That's an awesome question. How are you using them right now? Do you go back and reread the notes that you have made?
Well, that's the thing. I'm not very organized about what notes go in what notebook. So some notebooks have like passwords in them that I wrote down. Like when I'm making an account, I just like grab the closest notebook and I'm like, let me write this down so I don't forget. So there's like random passwords floating around in some of them. Some of them are like personal notes or like journal entries. So I want to save those to reread them. But then other notes like grocery lists I don't care about.
So I love that you have a system for writing stuff down. What we need to do then is just bump you over to a system where you have a system that is easy to access. Because if you're looking for a random password and you know it's in one of those 13 journals that's sitting on my desk, but I don't know which one, how on earth are you ever going to find it? Okay. So I want to break passwords down as their own separate thing. There are electronic programs, and I really recommend that you go electronic with this. The program that I use is called Keeper Security. I like the fact that I can add any password and it's searchable by any field. So I can log into my password vault and I can type in, let's say that you were going to Amazon, for example, and you were going to check your Amazon password so that you could log in. You type in the word Amazon and it pulls up your account. So boom, just like that. You don't have to search every field and online shopping or whatever. Just boom, right there it is. If you shop at Marshall's, for example, you type in Marshall's and then it pulls up the nearest store or whatever you have. And if you've saved receipts in there, you can save receipts. You can make notes to yourself. I know one of the biggest ways that I personally use my software for my computer, for my Keeper, my password vault, is that when I buy a piece of software for my business, I type in the date that I purchased it, the credit card that I purchased it with, the customer service support in case I run into any glitches while I'm talking to, I don't know, customer service or support or whatever. I've got my purchase ID number there. I've got the license number for that piece of software. I've got everything right there in one document. So if I ever get stumped, I'm like, oh, this plugin is not working. And instead of trying to figure it out, I just go to my password vault. I type in the name of the plugin. Boom, all the information is there just like that. One of the cool things I like about the password vaults is that I can take a picture of any information. So for example, let's say that you wanted to take a picture of your receipt because you purchased 10 items a week from this particular store. And I know that in our business, we purchase a lot of cleaning supplies from a distributor. And so one of the things that we do is we have a list with pictures on it, which is really great because if I ever outsource that task to someone else, I give them the password to the purchase part of it, and they can go in and they can do the purchasing and the inventory and all that stuff. And if they're not sure, is that the right product? They can pull up a picture of it right there because we've added a picture to that electronic file, right? So for passwords, I want to get away from the binders and the notebooks that are easy to just write down because that's convenient, right? I want to get away from that and go electronic with that. One of the things I do want to keep for paper, and this is going to sound really counterintuitive, but I do want you to have a paper file for this. We call it a to-do and a to-done list, The to-do list is what I'm going to do during the day. And at the end of the day, it becomes a to-done list once you've done it. And I want you to keep it next to your bed for this reason. When we get up in the morning, it sets the day, the tone of the day that we're moving into. And so if we wake up and we just have all these thoughts racing through our head and we're not sure what we're going to do for the day, sometimes it's easy to get frustrated. The first thing I want us to do is to look down at the to-do list for today. It's right there in front of us. We've made the list before we went to bed last night. When we make the to-do list before we go to bed at night, what that does is that releases it from our mind. We're not going to bed with all these worries of all these things we have to do. What we did is say, I'm going to do it tomorrow. And we made a list of it so we won't forget. Now we can let that go from our mind and we can sleep peacefully. Now, the next morning, when we get up, what do we have? We have today's to-do list and we have yesterday's to-done list. And so on the to-done list, we wrote down all the things we accomplished during yesterday. And so if we made a new friend, if we made a new client, if we got rid of 10 boxes of paper, I mean, it doesn't matter what it is, right? Then we just make a quick note of that, almost like bullet points. So this would go back to your journaling. If we ran into something cool, if we came across a new thought, if we learned something new, if we found somebody on social media that was meaningful to us and we wanted to follow them, hey, I was just introduced to XYZ influencer and that made my life easier or something. You make notes of that. What happens is this: if you check in every day before you go to bed at night, and then you check in again the next morning when you get up, what happens is it kind of frames your whole day so that every day you have a purpose. And then every day you have accomplishments of the things that you have accomplished, right? And I want that to be on a paper notebook. Here's the reason why. If you ever get in a slump, and I know this has never happened to you guys, but if you ever get in a slump and you need either a kick in the pants or you need a shred of motivation, go back through your to-do and your to-done list. And when you look at all the different things that you have accomplished, you're going to feel this overwhelming sense of, oh my goodness, I've accomplished so much. How grateful am I that I had this opportunity, right? So we've got some tools here today that I want us to start thinking about, and they're easy access. You can add them to your carts if you haven't already. You might have some of this stuff already at your house. That's fine. I'm not particular on any sort of brand. There are lots of different brands that work. My system for you is that you have a system, right? I want to jump over Sally. Share with us one thing that we covered today that you might implement moving forward.
Okay, one thing that I definitely will start using is your envelope system. I really love that. I feel that it's really kind of get everything very organized. And then the second one will be the to-do, and then the done list. Put a notepad or whatever at the bedside and write out everything. That is a great idea, actually. Yeah.
I want to make one note about the portable filing system. The portable filing system is really awesome for the fact that it can go anywhere. And so if you redesign rooms of your house or whatever, we're talking about moving one box. We're not talking about a filing cabinet that then just gets stuck in one part of the house that becomes inconvenient because, well, I don't want to get up and run all the way in the other room to find the filing cabinet because there's no room for it in this room, right? We're talking about one box. It can go underneath a desk. It can go underneath a table. It can go to the end of a sofa if you're using your living room. If you're in the kitchen and you're using that as your home office, it can go right inside one of the cabinets. I mean, it's literally portable and it can move wherever you go. Now, I know a lot of salesmen and they work out of their car. This portable filing cabinet literally can go in the back of your car or on the back seat. I mean, it's that portable that you have everything you need right at your fingertips. So if you're thinking about it, please keep me posted. You can follow me on social media. I've got my social medias up in the corner. It's Ask Angela Brown on all the different platforms. Follow me because I want to hear your journey and how you enact this in your own regular life. Awesome. Cool. All right, Rita. What is one thing that you that we talked about today that you might use or implement?
So we talked about the receipts, and I like that little nifty little thing you held up with the accordion. Yeah, I'm not sure what it's called. But
it's actually called a coupon. It's a 13 file coupon holder. And it's called a coupon holder, but I will share this with you. It's 10 inches by 5 inches. and it has to be 10 inches by 5 inches because they make them that are like very small, and the really small ones get really fat. It's like stuffing a bunch of stuff in a little tiny wallet, and then it does not fit in the console of your car. And this is really nice because, and I like the black one for my car because like all the interior of my car is black. This is just like this is the Pinterest version of my car, but then it slides down there and it becomes invisible, and then no one knows it's there except me, right? But then every time I come in from a store, I'm like, oh, this needs to be filed. And I just open this up and I file it, make a note and I file it. And then if I ever have to return it, like you said, sometimes you're looking for receipts that you return. If I think, I'm not sure if this is exactly what I need and I might return it, I make a note on it so that I can easily access it. And then I have a pouch at the very back of this where I say, this is a maybe I'm going to return this. And it goes right in that one folder. So if I ever have to return something, and I know that this is true sometimes for Home Depot, I buy things that I'm going to use, and then maybe I have to drop them off if it's the wrong size or something. It's in that one file. Boom. There you go.
Yeah, I love that system. So I'm definitely going to look into getting one of those.
Okay, cool. Well, keep me posted on that because I'm eager to hear how that goes for you too. All right. Do you guys have any other questions? We've got Tanya. Hey, Tanya. Good to have you here.
That's it for me.
Yeah, no question.
Okay, I will let you guys get back to your day. Thank you so much for joining me today. Also, follow us if you want to. Click the follow button if you want to be notified when we're doing Amazon Lives again. I know that for a fact, we're going to be covering a lot of different topics in the getting organized phase. And we've got some really cool stuff that we use that, like I said, they're not Pinterest pretty, but they are super, super practical. And I love practicality because it just flat out works. That's how we do. All right, that's it for today. You guys have a great one, and I will talk to you guys soon.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right, take care.